Hello, in this video we're looking at Bhagavadgita, chapter 1, verse 29. And remember, this verse is a continuation of what Arjuna started to say in verse 28. Sidanti mama gatrani mukhancha parishushyati vepatuscha sharire me romaharshascha jayate. I'll read it again with the text up. Here we are. Sidanti mama gatrani mukhancha parishushyate vepatuscha sharire me romaharshascha jayate. Mama, genitive of me, my. Mama, my, is the genitive of aham, I. Note that in many languages, Latin, the modern Romance languages, the word for my is a declinable adjective. As in French, mon, ma, me, Latin, meus, mea, meum, and so on. In Sanskrit, it's simpler. You just use the genitive form of aham, so that now becomes a fixed expression, mama. So mama gatrani, my limbs. Note that this genitive form has a shortened form me that we see in the second line. Vepatusha sharire sharire me. You could say mama sharire in my body or sharire me in my body. The shortened form me, which could also use for the dative actually, is only used enclitically. That is, you can't begin a sentence or a word group with it. It's a shortened form that's tacked onto the end. So you could say, for example, the first pada, the first half of the first line, could be rewritten grammatically perfectly correctly to say sidanti gatrani me, instead of sidanti mama gatrani. Equally, in the second line, it would have been quite correct to say vepatusha mama sharire, or even beginning the sentence mama sharire cha vepatu. You've got vepatu is a trembling. So mama sharire vepatuscha, and there is a trembling in my body. You can begin the sentence with mama, but it would be wrong to begin the sentence by saying me sharire. It's got to be tacked onto a substantive word. So this mama in the first line and me in the second line have exactly the same meaning, but me just the shortened enclitic form. So sidanti, they sit, as I explained in verse 28, the normal meaning of the verb root sad, present tense sidati. Sorry, did I just forget to show you my iPad again? Where's it gone? Yeah, what I was doing was showing you the mama and aham. Sidanti, root sad, a bit irregular because it makes its present tense by changing the short ah of the root to a long e, sidanti. Just means to sit, but with the subtext of collapsing, in other words, sitting when you should be standing. The idea is being unable to stand. We have this gatrani. The ga is an alternative form, much less common form of the, oops, iPad playing up again. We're all familiar with the root gum, to go. Alternatively, you can have a ga. much less common, but it does make the gatra a goer, a tool or an implement for going. In other words, your legs. It can often be used to mean limbs generally, but this word started life as specifically meaning legs. It's your legs that enable you to go. And like most of these words with the suffix tra, it's neuter, and that accounts for the neuter plural form gatrani, of course with the retroflex na because of the preceding ra. So sidanti mama gatrani, literally my legs are sitting, which we should construe as my legs can't stand up, my limbs are collapsing under me. So sidanti mama gatrani mukhancha parishushati. The mukha means the face, or more specifically here, the mouth. Parishushati, let's call you up the text again. The root shush means dry. Give you iPad. It's a regular class 4 verb, so shushyati, it's intransitive. Shushyati means it dries up. The pari here, normally meaning around, as often happens, the pari just has an intensive form, just as in English we might say, my mouth is going dry, or my mouth is completely drying up. That would be parishushati. Mukhancha, and the mouth, parishushati, is completely drying up. That his emotional state is that he can't stand up, his mouth has gone dry. So mukhancha parishushati, and my mouth is drying up. Vepatusha sharire me, and there is a vepatu, a trembling in my body. This root vep, to tremble, and there is a suffix atu, making a verbal noun. More common it is the suffix ata, like damata, training, shamata, calming. In some nouns, a lot less commonly, it's an u instead, it says vepatu, means a trembling. And this, it's cognate with the Latin vib as in vibrare in Latin, from which in English we get vibrate, the vibrations. It's that same root. And it's also cognate actually with our English vip wob, as in wobble. There we are. So vibrate and wobble, vip, no, 4,000 years ago, maybe less, maybe only 3,000 years ago, they were all the same word. So there's a wobbling, vipatuscha, there's a wobbling, sharire me, in my body. Remember, of course, there are several words for body in Sanskrit. There's the kaya, deha, and also sharira. And they are, the basic meaning is body. There's no real distinction between them, but they have come to be used in different contexts. For example, a dehin, something that has a deha, is often used for meaning an embodied being. The idea is that we are not the bodies, there is something that has a body. If you want to make the analogy of soul and body, the soul, what we can loosely translate as soul, um, it will be called a dehin because it's something that has a deha, that has a body. You wouldn't talk about the kayin or a sharirin in this context. It's just by standard usage, that's what it's become. And for example, body mindfulness, you'd use the word kaya there. So kaya smriti, body mindfulness of the body, which in Pali is kaya sati. But the root, the underlying meaning of them all is the same. Um, the word kaya, by the way, is rather interesting because it's from the root chi. And we've often seen this ka, verbs, roots flipping in a cha and a ka. So from the chi, the kaya, from chi meaning to heap up or to accumulate, and a verbal noun, kaya, means an accumulation. But the word kaya on its own now has specialized in its meaning to mean the body, not just any kind of heaping up, but specifically the body. So, because the body here is envisaged as an accumulation of things. Okay, back to where we were. Vepatuscha sharire me, and a trembling in my body. Roma harshascha jayate. Roma harsha, the Roma means hair, but specifically the short hairs, like the hairs on the hands and arms, hairs at the back of the neck. And the idea is harsha is a bristling up. Can also the word is morally or emotionally neutral on its own, but it tends to mean kind of a good feeling or a bad feeling. You can have a sense of harsha, of delight. But aroma harsha generally is used to mean it's like this, the harsha, the bristling, the standing up of the hairs. When you in terror, goose pimples and the hairs in the back of your neck standing up. That is roma harsha. And at the end of the verse, it is jayate. This is a very well known root jan, meaning to be born, cognate with Greek Genesis, we say, Latin generation, eugenus, which in English we have as genus, Genus, meaning a birth, a particular a species. Well, genus has subspecies, but what one is born as. It's a class 4 verb, mostly a class 4 verb, but slightly irregular because it doesn't become, it's not janyate, it becomes jayate. It's slightly irregular there in that it drops, asterisk to show this is not an existing form, irregular in that it drops the N and makes the A long, so not janyate but jayate. The root meaning of it is to be born, jayate, it is born, but it's also more generalized, just means to come into existence, to happen. So Rumaharshasha Jayate, and just there is a bristling of the hairs is happening. Jayate is being born. So I will read this once more before we wind up this verse. Here we are. Sidanti mamagatrani mukkancha parishushyati vepatuscha sharire me rumaharshascha jayate. And once more, Sidanti mamagatrani mukhancha parishushiti vepatuscha sharire me romaharshascha jayate. And that's all on this video.